When my boss told me she needed me to pretend to be her husband for 1 year, the first thing that fell out of my mouth was, "Do we have to sleep in the same bed?" Yeah, I actually said that. To the most feared woman in our company. My name is Adam Bennett. I am 28 years old, born in a dusty little town in Texas, and for the last 5 years, I have been trying to build a life in Denver. I work as a junior copywriter at Sterling Marketing Solutions. It sounds cool when I say it out loud, like I am some creative hotshot, but the truth is less shiny. I sit in a gray cubicle downtown and write taglines and social posts that most people scroll right past without thinking. Every morning I ride the light rail into the city with a crowd of people who look half awake. I wear the same few faded shirts. I grab cheap coffee from the lobby machine. Then I sit at my desk and try to make buy local beer sound fresh for the 10th time. Outside, my life is not much better. I rent a small one-bedroom in a rough part of Capitol Hill. The paint is peeling, the heater rattles, and the neighbor's dog barks at random hours. At night, I eat takeout burritos, stare at my laptop, and send what little money I can back home to my mom in Texas. Mom is 62. She lives alone in our old house outside Austin. My dad used to fix trucks for a living until his body gave out. Last year, he got lung cancer. The hospital bills came like a flood. We paid what we could, but it was not enough. When he died, the bills did not stop. I took out loans, maxed my credit cards, did anything to keep Mom from losing the house. Now I am over $50,000 in debt. The number lives in my head like a weight. 2 weeks before all this started, my landlord slid an eviction notice under my door. 3 months behind on rent. No more extensions. I tried taking freelance jobs, selling my old camera, even texting college friends I had not talked to in years. The answers were always the same. Sorry, man. Wish I could help. By the time that Monday morning came, I was hanging on by a thread. I got to the office early, head pounding from another night of no sleep. I opened my email and saw a wall of overdue notices. Medical bills, credit cards, a second warning from the landlord. It all blurred together. I was still staring at the screen when a new email popped up. No subject line, just a short sentence. Meet me in my office, 9 a.m. sharp. Luna S., Luna Sterling, Vice President, daughter of the founder, my direct boss. People called her the Ice Queen when they thought she could not hear. She wore sharp suits, had a perfect dark bob, and eyes that made grown men fumble their words in meetings. She never came to happy hour. She never joined small talk in the break room. She walked through the office like she owned it, because in a way, her family did. I had only spoken to her a few times. Quick comments on my work, a nod in a team huddle, a question about a tagline. She never wasted a word, so why did she want to see me? By 8:59, I was standing outside her door on the 36th floor. Her office was all glass and clean lines with a huge window that showed the Rockies in the distance. I knocked. "Come in," she said. She was behind her desk, eyes on her computer. She did not stand. She pointed to the chair across from her. "Sit." My palms were sweating as I sat down. I waited for her to tell me I was fired. Instead, she closed her laptop and slid a thick folder toward me. "Open it," she said. I flipped it open and felt my stomach drop. Inside were copies of my life. Hospital bills from my dad's treatment. Bank statements with negative balances. My credit report. Even a scan of the eviction notice from my apartment door. My throat went dry. "How did you get all this?" Quote, "I had my assistant run a background check," she said. Her voice was calm, like she was reading a grocery list. Discreetly, "You are in free fall, Adam. No savings, high debt, 3 months behind on rent. You will not last another month." I felt naked sitting there under those sharp gray eyes. Angry, too. Why? Why look into me like this? What does this have to do with my job? Quote, "It does not," she said. "This is not about work. This is about a proposal." "A proposal?" I repeated. She leaned back in her chair, studying me. "My father set up a trust before he died. The terms say that to keep control of my shares and my position, I must be married by the end of this year and remain married for at least 12 months. If not, control shifts to my brother Derek. I had seen Derek around the office. Expensive suits, smooth smile, eyes that never smiled with his mouth. People said he wanted her job and would do anything to get it. I am not going to let that happen, Luna said. But I also do not want a real marriage built on lies. That is where you come in. I blinked. Me? I need a husband. On paper, she said. 12 months. No more, no less. We marry. We live together. We attend events as a couple. When the year is over, we end it cleanly. No claim on my assets. No shared accounts. In return, I clear all your debts. Medical, rent, cards. And I pay you $100,000 at the end of the term so you can start over. The room went quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. This is insane, I said softly. You do not even know me. Her gaze did not waver. I know enough. I have watched you for a while, Adam. You work hard. You do not stir drama. You do not boast. You are desperate, but you still show up and do your job. I need someone I can trust, not to use this against me. Someone who has something to lose if they break the rules. This is a marriage, I said. Even if it is fake, people will talk. Your family, the board, human resources. What do I tell my mom? What do you tell yours? We will tell them the story we want them to hear, Luna said. HR already knows I am considering a personal relationship with an employee. They have a plan. Another manager will handle your reviews. The rest is image. I am very good at image. Her confidence scared me as much as it impressed me. I am not asking you to decide now, she added. Think about it. If you say no, this folder disappears and we never speak of it again. If you say yes, your life changes. So does mine. I looked down at the folder. At the numbers in red ink. At my dad's name on the hospital bills. At the notice that said I had 10 days left before I was out on the street. What about us? I asked quietly. In private, what are the rules? Her eyes flicked to mine. We will have a written contract. Boundaries. You will have your own room, your own space. This is not about romance. It is about survival. The question that had been bouncing in my head jumped out. Do we have to sleep in the same bed? I asked. For the first time since I walked in, something like surprise flashed in her eyes. Then, to my shock, she laughed. It was a quick sound, but it was real. No, she said. We do not have to sleep in the same bed. When I left her office, my legs felt weak. The rest of the day passed in a blur. People asked me about copy changes and campaign ideas, and I nodded at the right times, but my mind was stuck in that glass room. That night, back in my small apartment, I paced the worn carpet until the sun began to rise. Pride told me this was wrong, that I would be selling myself. Desperation showed me Mom's house, the one place that still felt like safety, with a foreclosure notice on the door. By dawn, my choice was sitting in my chest like a stone. At 9 a.m., I was back in her office. She watched me close the door behind me. Well, I will do it, I said. I will be your husband for 1 year. Something eased in her shoulders. She opened a drawer, took out a simple contract, and placed it on the desk between us. Then sign, she said. As my pen scratched my name across the bottom of the page, I felt my old life fall away. I did not know yet if I had just saved myself from drowning or tied myself to a weight I could not carry. The same afternoon I signed the contract, my whole life shifted like someone had pulled the floor out from under me and replaced it with glass. Luna did not waste time. She slid a keycard in a small white envelope across the desk. This is the address to my building, she said. Penthouse floor. Pack what you need. A driver will pick you up at 5. That fast? I asked. She nodded once. The sooner we start, the more natural it will look by the time my family and the board start asking questions. There was no handshake. No. Welcome to the family. Just a sharp nod and a clear path forward. That was Luna. Back at my apartment, packing took less time than I expected. It was strange how little of my life fit into 2 suitcases. A stack of shirts and jeans. A few books. My old laptop. The framed photo of my parents standing in front of Dad's truck, both of them smiling like the future was wide open. I took down the cheap poster on my wall and stared at the pale square it left behind. This place had never felt like home, but it had been mine. For a second, I thought about tearing up the contract, calling Luna, and telling her I had changed my mind. Then I pictured Mom's house in Texas, the stack of medical bills with Dad's name at the top. The eviction notice on my door. At 5 on the dot, a black SUV pulled up to the curb. The driver knew my name. The ride downtown felt like a one-way trip to another planet. The penthouse was at the top of a glass tower in the heart of Denver. The elevator needed the keycard to move. When the doors slid open, I stepped into a space that felt like a magazine spread. Floor-to-ceiling windows on 2 sides, white walls. Gray leather couches, clean lines. No clutter, no warmth. Luna stood by the kitchen island with a tablet in her hand. She wore a simple blouse and dark pants, but still looked like she was about to walk into a boardroom. "Your room is down that hall, second door on the left," she said. "Closet is empty. The bathroom is yours. We will need to move some of your things in fast so it looks real. Photos, mail, that sort of thing." I nodded, trying not to stare at the view of the city and the mountains beyond it. "This place is big." She glanced around like she was seeing it for the first time. "It is practical," she said. "Close to the office, secure." It did not feel practical to me. It felt like a glass box in the sky. She slid a thick binder across the counter toward me. "Read this tonight," she said. "Memorize as much as you can." Quote, I opened it and blinked. The first page was labeled Public Behavior Guidelines. There were bullet points on everything. How to stand beside her at events. Where to put my hand for photos. What to say if someone asked how we met. There was even a note about how to hold a wine glass. "This is intense," I said. "It has to be," she replied. "My brother is waiting for any crack he can find. We cannot give him one." I flipped to the next section. History. Our fake story was laid out in simple lines. We met at a charity event in Aspen 6 months ago. We hit it off instantly. We kept things quiet because we did not want office gossip. We had a small private ceremony out of town. Only close family knew. "You already told your family?" I asked. "Some of them," she said. "I told my mother I met someone serious. She was surprised but pleased. The rest will expect to see proof soon." I looked up. "And what about my mom?" "You tell her what you are ready to tell her," Luna said. "But understand this, if this blows up, it hurts both of us. You are not just a prop in my life. You are tied to it." There was a small pause on that last part. It made something twist in my chest. "Any questions?" she asked. I wanted to ask how she slept at night, with this much pressure on her shoulders. I wanted to ask if she was scared. Instead, I said, "Not yet." That first night felt strange. I unpacked in the guest room that was now my room. The bed was huge. The sheets were crisp and smelled like detergent. There was a walk-in closet with more empty space than I had ever had in my life. I lined up my worn shirts like they had to prove they belonged. Dinner was takeout she ordered on her phone, sushi in neat boxes on the long dining table. She ate while answering emails. I picked at my food and stared at the city lights. We made small talk about work, like we were just co-workers who happened to share a table. By 10, she said goodnight and disappeared into the master bedroom at the other end of the hall. I lay awake for a long time listening to the quiet hum of the building. No creaky pipes. No neighbors yelling through thin walls. Just silence and the distant sound of traffic below. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm. In the mornings, we rode the elevator down together. In the lobby, she would step a little closer, her hand brushing my arm, playing the part if anyone was watching. In the office, we kept our distance. She stayed, Luna Sterling, VP, sharp and focused. I stayed Adam from copy, the guy in the cubicle who wrote lines and tried not to stare at his fake wife in meetings. At night, we often arrived home at different times. Some days she would beat me there, heels already off, blazer draped over a chair. Other days I would walk into the sound of her on a call. pacing the living room, voice low and fierce, in a way I never heard at the office. Our first big test came at a company gala in a downtown hotel. She had a dress delivered to the penthouse for herself and a tailored suit for me. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. The suit fit better than anything I had ever worn. I barely recognized the guy looking back. When Luna walked out of her room, I forgot how to speak for a second. She wore a black gown that fit her like it had been made for her alone. Diamonds at her ears, her hair styled back from her face. She looked like another version of herself, colder and yet somehow more human at the same time. "Ready?" she asked. I swallowed. "I hope so." At the ballroom, we stepped into a sea of lights and noise. Music played. Glasses clinked. People turned to stare. Luna slipped her arm through mine, her hand resting lightly on my sleeve. "This is where you smile," she murmured without looking at me, so I smiled. We moved through groups of executives and clients. I shook hands, repeated our story, laughed at jokes that were not funny. The script came out of my mouth smoother than I expected. We met at a charity event in Aspen. We wanted to keep things private at first. She spilled her drink on me. I have not recovered since. People laughed. Some looked jealous. Some looked curious. Everyone looked convinced. Then I met Derek. He appeared at my side like a shadow, taller than me, older, expensive suit, easy grin. His eyes, though, were sharp and cold. "So," he said, "you are the lucky man my sister finally let into her life." I shook his hand. His grip was too tight, like he was trying to test my bones. "Adam Bennett," I said. "Nice to meet you." "Oh, I know who you are," he said. "Junior copywriter, modest background." Impressive jump into the big leagues. The smile did not reach his eyes. Luna moves fast when she wants something. He turned to her. Very fast. Luna's hand on my arm tightened, just a little. "When you know," she said calmly. "I look forward to getting to know you better," Derek said to me. "We will have to talk sometime, man to man." The way he said it made my skin crawl. Back at the penthouse that night, Luna kicked off her heels by the door and poured herself a drink. She did not usually drink in front of me. "He does not believe it," she said, staring out at the city lights. "Derek?" I asked. She nodded. "He thinks he can find proof that this is fake. He will dig. He will watch. He will push." I leaned on the island across from her. "Then we give him nothing to find." Her eyes met mine. For the first time, they were not just cold steel. There was something raw there. Tired. A little sad. "You did well tonight," she said quietly. "You looked like you belonged." "That is your suit's fault," I said. "It did most of the work." A small smile tugged at her mouth. "You do not give yourself enough credit," she said. "You handled the questions. You kept your cool with Derek. That matters." It was a simple compliment, but it hit hard. I was not used to praise that felt real. As weeks turned into months, little cracks formed in her armor. One night I woke up thirsty and walked out to the kitchen. The city was dark outside. A single lamp glowed in the living room. Luna sat on the couch, laptop open, her shoulders slumped. She rubbed her temples with one hand like her head hurt. "You okay?" I asked softly. She looked up, surprised. For a moment her face was open, no mask. Just a tired woman in a t-shirt and loose pants, far from the sharp VP everyone knew. "I am fine," she said automatically. Then she sighed. "Just a lot on my plate." Quote. I poured her a glass of water and set it on the table in front of her. "Drink," I said. "You look like you have been staring at that screen for hours." She gave a short laugh. "You are not wrong." She took a sip and leaned back. "How is your mom?" she asked suddenly. The question caught me off guard. I had mentioned Mom once in passing, but I did not think she remembered. "She is hanging in," I said. "Still in Texas, still trying to act like she is fine on her own." "You miss her," Luna said. "Every day," I admitted. She nodded slowly. I know the feeling, she said, missing someone who is still alive but far away. For a moment our eyes met. It felt like the room shrank around us. That small, quiet connection changed everything in ways I did not see right away. The penthouse started to feel less like a stage and more like a strange, shared shelter. We were still playing roles in public, but in private, something softer was forming. Then came the weekend at the Sterling family estate. The email landed in her inbox on a Tuesday. "Family retreat to celebrate merger," the subject line read. Her jaw clenched when she opened it. "They want us both there," she said. "My mother, the board, Derek." "Everyone." "Us," I repeated. As in the happy married couple. As in the couple who met in Aspen, married quickly, and are still very much in love, she said. "They will expect to see proof." "What kind of proof?" I asked, though part of me already knew. She met my gaze. "We will be given a shared room," she said. "One bed. No separate guest wing this time." My heart picked up speed. "And Derek?" I asked. "He will be watching," she said. "He will look for any sign that this is fake." As we drove up into the foothills that Friday, trees rising on both sides of the road and the big stone house coming into view, my stomach knotted. I was about to pretend to share a bed with my boss in front of her entire family. What I did not know yet was that inside that old house, under the eyes of people who doubted us, the line between pretending and something real was about to get dangerously thin. If I said I was calm walking into the Sterling family estate, I would be lying. The house looked like something from a movie. Stone walls, long driveway, perfect lawn, expensive cars lined up out front. I stepped out of the car, smoothed my jacket, and tried to remember to breathe. Luna stood beside me, her hand slipping around my arm. Her grip was firm, like she was steadying both of us. "Remember," she said under her breath, "we are married. We are comfortable. We belong here." "Right," I said. "Married, comfortable, belong." The front door opened before we could knock. A woman in her 60s stood there in a soft blue dress, silver hair, sharp eyes, familiar bone structure. I knew at once this had to be Luna's mother. "Luna," she said, her voice warm but surprised, "and this must be Adam." "Yes, Mom," Luna said. There was a softness in her voice I had never heard at work. "This is my husband." I stepped forward and held out my hand. "It is very nice to meet you, Mrs. Sterling." She took my hand and studied my face for a moment, then smiled. "Call me Eleanor," she said. "Come in, both of you." The inside of the house was grand but lived in. Family photos on the walls, shelves full of books, the smell of roasted meat coming from the kitchen. Voices drifted from deeper inside. As we walked through the hallway, I felt eyes follow us. In the main living room, people were gathered with drinks and small plates. Aunts, uncles, cousins, board members, all dressed well and talking in low voices. Conversations dipped when they saw us. Luna straightened beside me. Derek was the first to break away from the group. He walked toward us with that same easy smile that never touched his eyes. "Sis," he said, brushing a kiss against Luna's cheek. "And the famous husband at last." He turned to me, hand outstretched. "Adam, welcome. I hope my sister has not scared you off yet with her work schedule." I took his hand. It was the same crushing grip as before. "She keeps me on my toes," I said. "I like it that way." A few people chuckled. Derek's eyes narrowed just for a second. Then he smiled again. "We have been dying to hear more about you," one of the older board members said, stepping in. "Tell us how you two met. Luna has been very private." I glanced at her. She gave me the smallest nod. "Script time." "We met at a charity event in Aspen," I said. "I was there helping with some of the branding work." She bumped into me and spilled her drink on my shirt. I figured anyone who could do that and not apologize more than once was someone I wanted to know. There was a ripple of laughter. Luna rolled her eyes in a way that looked almost playful. "He is exaggerating," she said. But yes, Aspen was the start. And such a quick marriage, another relative said. When you know, I suppose. I squeezed Luna's hand. That is what I told her, I said. Life is short. I was not going to waste time pretending I did not know what I wanted. When I said that, I felt Luna's fingers tighten around mine, just a little. For a second, it did not feel like a line from a script. It felt like something true. Later, we ate dinner at a long table. While people talked over wine and dessert, Derek made small digs dressed up as jokes. So Adam, he said, swirling his drink, you jumped from a rough background into this family pretty fast. Must feel like winning the lottery. I met his gaze. I feel lucky, I said, but not because of money. Oh? He asked. I looked at Luna. She was watching me carefully. Because your sister is the toughest person I have ever met, I said. She builds more in a week than most people do in a year. Being beside someone like that makes you want to be better. The table went quiet for a moment. Eyebrows rose. Then Eleanor smiled softly, and some of the tension broke. After dinner, people drifted off to their rooms. A maid led us up the stairs to a large bedroom at the end of the hall. Your room, Mrs. Sterling, she said to Luna. If you need anything, just call. When the door closed behind us, I looked around. The room was beautiful. Large bed, fireplace, thick rug, soft lamplight. And one bed. Just like Luna had warned. Well, I said, trying to make light of it, at least the bed is big. Quote. She let out a breath and sat on the edge of it. For the first time all day, the strong mask dropped a little. Her shoulders slumped. She stared at her hands. He will not stop, she said quietly. Derek, he will keep pushing until he finds something he can use. I sat down beside her. Not too close, but close enough to feel the warmth of her body next to mine. He is fishing, I said. That means he does not have anything solid yet. He will, she said. He is good at digging. He always has been. Her voice had a tired edge that pulled at something inside me. I turned so I could see her face. Luna, I said softly. You do not have to carry this all alone anymore. You have me now. Maybe I started as a hire, but I am here now. I am in this with you. Her eyes lifted to mine. For a heartbeat, all the noise of the house faded. It was just us, sitting on the edge of a bed that was supposed to be part of a show. You really mean that? She asked. Yes, I said. I meant every word at that table. I meant it when I signed the contract. And I mean it now even more. Quote. She looked at me like she was searching for cracks. Whatever she saw, it made her eyes soften. Her hand reached for mine, fingers cool but shaking slightly. Thank you, she whispered. The space between us felt electric. My heart pounded. I knew I should pull back, keep the line clear. This was fake. This was a deal. But sitting there, with her guard down for the first time in front of me, I could not see any lines anymore. Adam, she said, voice low. Can I ask you something? Anything, I said. If this was real, she asked, if there was no contract, no trust, no money, would you still be here with me? In this room? In this bed? The question hit me harder than I expected. There was only one honest answer. Yes, I said, I would. Her breath caught. Then, slowly, she leaned in. I met her halfway. Our lips touched, soft at first, both of us unsure. When she did not pull back, I deepened the kiss. Her hand slid up to my neck. My hand moved to her waist. It was not scripted. It was not staged for anyone else. It was simple and burning and very, very real. We did not speak for a while after that. The night unfolded around us in quiet breaths and tangled sheets. No cameras, no audience. Just two people who had been pretending for so long they had forgotten how it felt to be honest, even with themselves. Later, when we finally lay still, she rested her head on my chest. The fire in the grate had burned low. The house was silent. That was not part of the contract, she said softly. No, I said, my hand tracing slow circles on her back. It was not. Do you regret it? She asked. Not for a second, I replied. There was a long pause. I thought she had fallen asleep when she spoke again. Neither do I, she whispered. The next morning, sunlight streamed in through the curtains. For a second, waking up with her curled against me, I forgot where we were. It felt natural. Then Luna sat up, frowning. Her gaze moved to the dresser across the room. On the edge of the lamp, so small it was almost hidden, was a tiny black dot. She swung her legs off the bed and walked over. I watched her pluck it free with 2 fingers. It was a camera, small, wireless. Blinking with a faint red light, my stomach dropped. "Is that what I think it is?" Quote. "Derek," she said, her voice flat and cold now. "He planted cameras." She switched it off and set it down hard on the dresser. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from anger. "He will think this proves something," she said, "that we are putting on a show." I got out of bed and crossed to her. "Let him see," I said. "He wanted to catch us faking. He caught something else." She looked up at me, searching my face. "What did he catch?" "He caught the moment I stopped pretending," I said. Her eyes softened, even as worry clouded them. "This changes everything," she said. "I know," I replied. "But maybe it is time everything changed." We stood there in that room, bare feet on the rug, the little black camera on the dresser between us like a silent threat. Outside, voices were starting in the hallway. Somewhere in this house, Derek was waiting for his chance to strike. I did not know exactly how, but I knew now that when he did, we would not just be fighting for a company or a trust. We would be fighting for whatever had started between us, in that bed, under that roof, with a fake marriage that was no longer fake at all. The drive back from the estate felt longer than the ride there. Luna kept her eyes on the road, jaw clenched, the tiny camera sitting in the cup holder between us like a ticking bomb. "He bugged the room," I said, still trying to wrap my head around it. "Your own brother put a camera in your bedroom." "He wants proof," she replied quietly. "He thinks if he can show the board this marriage is fake, he can take everything. My shares, my seat, the company." I looked at her profile, the tight line of her mouth, the strain around her eyes. "What did he really catch on that camera, Luna?" She hesitated, then answered softly, "He caught me forgetting to act." We both went quiet after that. The next few days were worse. Luna's assistant forwarded emails that made my stomach flip. Copies of my old debt records, shots of the contract I had signed, grainy stills from the hidden camera, us in bed, time-stamped and lined up like evidence in a trial. "He sent them to some of the board members," Luna said, staring at her tablet. "He is building a case for the quarterly meeting. He wants them ready to vote me out." The tension in the penthouse thickened. Luna barely slept. She paced the living room at night, laptop open, phone buzzing. I tried to help where I could, but most of it was out of my hands. One evening I found her by the window, arms crossed tight over her chest, city lights reflecting in the glass. She looked small for the first time since I met her. "Talk to me," I said, stepping closer. She shook her head a little. "I am scared, Adam," she said in a low voice. "Not just of losing the company. I have been losing things my whole life. Positions, chances, people. I can handle that. I am scared of losing you." Her words hit me harder than anything Derek could throw at us. "You are not going to lose me," I said. "Not because of him. Not because of that contract. I am here for you, not for the money." Her eyes filled, but the tears did not fall. She took one step forward and rested her forehead against my chest. "If this blows up," she whispered, "you will be dragged into it. People will say you used me. They will call you a fraud. You might lose your job, your name." "Then let them talk," I said, wrapping my arms around her. "We know what is real. That is what matters." But even as I said it, fear scratched at the back of my mind. The board had real power. They could crush her. They could crush us. The quarterly meeting came fast. I wore my best suit, the same one from the gala. Luna wore a dark blazer and a white blouse, simple and strong. In the elevator ride up to the executive floor, she squeezed my hand once. "Whatever happens in there," she said, "we do not turn on each other. Promise me." "I promise," I said. The boardroom was long and bright, big windows on one side, a polished table down the middle. The board members sat in their usual places, papers in front of them, eyes sharp. At the far end, Derek stood with a laptop open and a stack of folders. He already looked like he had won. We went through the routine stuff first. Quarterly numbers, campaign results. It was all noise to me. My heart did not start pounding until Derek cleared his throat and stood. "There is one more matter," he said. "A matter of trust and integrity." He nodded to someone by the door. The lights dimmed. The screen at the front of the room came to life. On the screen appeared a scan of our contract. My name. Luna's. The terms. My debts and the promise to clear them. The 12-month requirement. Red circles around the key parts. Murmurs filled the room. "This," Derek said, pacing slowly, "is not a love story. This is a transaction. My sister paid this man to marry her in order to keep control of this company. She lied to all of us, to the trust, to our clients, to the public." He clicked again. My old bills appeared. Hospital debt, past due rent, red stamps, more circles. "This is who she brought into the family," he added. "A desperate man drowning in debt, paid off to play along. Is this the kind of leadership we stand behind?" I felt the heat rise in my face. Shame, anger, fear, all of it. He clicked one more time. Grainy footage from the estate flashed on the screen. 2 figures in bed. Us. Kissing. Touching. Not clear enough to be indecent, but clear enough to be us. Gasps echoed around the room. "Even their intimacy is staged," Derek said. "They knew there were terms, cameras, eyes on them. This is fraud." When he finished, he folded his arms and leaned back, confident. The room went silent. All eyes turned to Luna. She stood slowly. My chest tightened. She looked around the table, meeting each gaze head on. "Yes," she said. Her voice was steady. "The marriage started as a contract. I will not lie to you. I did it to protect what I built here. I knew Derek was waiting for any excuse to take everything from me. I made a choice. An unethical one." Derek cut in. She ignored him. "I have worked for years to grow this place," she continued, "to support the teams, the clients, the campaigns that keep us alive. I was not going to let my brother's games undo all of that, so I did something I am not proud of." Her eyes shifted to me, and for a moment everything else disappeared. "But somewhere along the way," she said, her voice softening, "it stopped being fake. I moved a man into my home who had nothing left, and I watched him show up every day anyway. I watched him care about work that was not glamorous. I watched him send money to his mother, even when he had almost nothing. I watched him see me, not the title, not the name, but me, and I fell in love with him." The murmurs swelled again. A few board members shifted in their seats, unsure. Derek scoffed. "Touching story," he said, "but feelings do not erase fraud." That was when I stood up. My legs felt heavy, but my voice came out clear. "He is right about one thing," I said. "I was desperate when I signed that contract. My dad's cancer bills were choking us. I was about to be kicked out of my apartment. I thought this was a cold trade, money for time." I looked at Luna, then back at the room, but that is not what it became. Living with Luna, seeing how hard she fights, how much she cares, how alone she really was under all that control, it changed me. She did not just buy a husband. She pulled me out of a hole and made me want to stand up straight for the first time in years. I took a breath. I love her, not the VP, not the sterling name, her. The woman who falls asleep at her laptop because she is scared of failing everyone. The woman who cries quietly when she looks at old pictures of her father. The woman who learned to be tough because no one gave her room to be anything else. The room went quiet again. Derek's smile had thinned. Before he could speak, a new voice cut through the silence. "Enough!" Everyone turned. It was Eleanor. She had been sitting at the end of the table, silent until now. She rose slowly, placing both hands on the table. "I knew about the contract," she said. "Luna came to me before she signed it. I did not stop her, because I wanted her to learn the hard way that control is not everything. But Derek planting cameras, leaking private records, trying to destroy your own sister for power, that is not leadership, that is cruelty." She turned to the board. You have all seen what Luna has done for this company. You have all seen how Derek works behind the scenes. Ask yourselves who you trust more, not just with money, but with people. The vote that followed felt like it took an hour, even though it was only minutes. When it was over, Derek's motion to remove Luna failed. Instead, the board voted to strip him of his influence. He lost his committees. His power shrank in an instant. When the meeting adjourned, people rushed around us. Some offered quiet congratulations. Some avoided eye contact, embarrassed. Eleanor came over and hugged Luna, then turned to me. You stood up for her when it counted, she said. Thank you. Outside the boardroom, away from the noise, Luna and I stepped into an empty hallway. The door closed behind us with a soft click. The silence felt huge. We did it, I said, my voice shaking. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. We did, she whispered. Then she laughed, a short, broken sound. Our contract is almost up, you know. We made it. We could walk away now. Clean, no rules broken, no debts left. Quote, Is that what you want? I asked, my heart in my throat. She shook her head slowly. The contract can end, she said. I do not want us to. I stepped closer. Then let us end the contract, I said, and stay married for real. A tear slipped down her cheek. I wiped it away with my thumb. Do you remember what you asked me the first day in my office? She said, a small smile pulling at her lips. About the bed? I groaned softly. I am never living that down. You asked if we had to sleep in the same bed, she said. Back then, I said no, it was safer, cleaner, less messy. She took my hand and placed it over her heart. If I asked you that question now, what would you say? I smiled, feeling my chest ease for the first time in months. I would say yes, I said. I want to share your bed, your house, your mornings, your storms, not for a year, for as long as you will have me. Her eyes shone. Good, she whispered, because I am tired of pretending I sleep alone. Months later, the penthouse was gone. We sold it and bought a smaller house on a quiet street with a porch and a yard. It was not fancy, but it was ours. My debts were gone. I took a better job at a smaller agency, one where people knew my name. Luna kept her role but let herself breathe more. Less late nights. More dinners at our own table. One warm evening, we sat on the porch swing, coffee in hand, watching the sky turn pink over the city. If you could go back, she asked softly, to the day in my office when I slid that folder in front of you, would you still sign? I thought about my dad's bills, my empty apartment, her steel eyes, the hidden fear behind them, the year that followed, the fights, the kisses, the boardroom, this porch. I would sign faster, I said, because that was the day the pretending started, and the day I started walking toward you. She leaned her head on my shoulder and squeezed my hand. Our marriage had started as a deal, a contract on paper, but sitting there with her, the night soft around us, I knew there was nothing fake left. My boss once said, pretend to be my husband for 1 year. Now, every time I look at her, every time I wake up with her beside me, I know my answer has changed. I am not pretending anymore.